Hi, I'm Michael Killen, and I'm an artist, and also I'm working with everyone who is part of this production on a film called Painting to Change the World. And both the art I'm working on and the film are both being produced primarily to help the scientists tell their climate story to the public. On this program, my co-producer, Charlie Klass, is going to ask me a few questions, and I turn the floor over to you, Charlie.
Michael,
How are you?
good to be with you, as
Thank you.
always. Michael, I went by University Art in Palo Alto the other day, and here in this huge window is one of your fantastic paintings.
Yes, and it's not one of my climate change paintings, but it's a painting that has a title, very pretentious title, called The Evolution of Consciousness.
You know, that's a mouthful. Go ahead. Tell me a little more about it.
Um, I'm concerned about how we as human beings evolved. And art, when human beings started to make art and how they make art today, are two different points and maybe two different things. So I decided to make a painting that captured how people made art 20,000 years ago. And then I superimposed on those images how we make it today. And the marker I used was how people 20,000 years ago made bulls in caves. And the greatest painter, at least that in our time, who made bulls was Picasso. So I superimposed a bull, somewhat like the way Picasso would make it, on how the people in the Lascaux caves in France many years ago made it.
Well, what you've done is, in one painting, gone from the beginning of art that was documented on the cave all the way up through the 20th century.
Yes. I don't know where these ideas come from to take on, something like the evolution of consciousness. It just comes to me. And then how I find how to do it just sort of comes to me also.
Well, this is hard to believe because you must have been reading my mind. I was thinking of, before the program, and I hadn't shared this with you, I wanted to ask, how do you pull these ideas out? How do you sift them through your being to come out with what you've been doing?
Let me just say, it's probably I read the New York Times and I do some other things and I get a feeling for the big issues of our time, and I don't understand them. And so I start studying them, and then I quickly move to how would I explain these ideas in a painting. And I'll mention some of them that I've taken on. The impact of the internet on civilization. And now I'll go to climate change. Population explosion. And that is at the core of what's happening. All of us human beings are putting more carbon dioxide into the air, and we're on our way to probably destroying ourselves. The end of the fossil fuel era, because we are at the very beginning of the end of the combustible engine and coal and oil, and end of species. The fish, the birds, the rabbits, the cats, the dogs, the plants, maybe even the humans. One can measure it. The number of species is going down at a rapid rate. I get interested in these topics, and I just say, I try to make a painting.
Okay. You don't put it into words, or do you put any of this into words before you start working?
If I do, it's very few words. Usually, I might put down this is an issue, and this is an issue, and this is an issue. This might be people, this might be technology, this might be time. I might put something down, very little, 3 words here, 3 words here, and then I start overlaying them, putting them together, and then I think of the images. What image would allow me to demonstrate invent an image that would allow the viewer to realize that a lot of us, as climate change continues, we are going to bake or be fried like sunny-side-up eggs, or we're going to be washed away by waves, or we're going to have so many people here and starvation is going to become rampant, and we're going to start thinking about what we're going to eat and might even start looking at humans.
Okay, now something that I have watched you do with the canvas, what you just said, I want to make sure people understand that you literally make a little writing, very simple one, a word or two,
yeah.
And you sort of position things around your canvas, each subject, and then the subject stands alone for a while. And ultimately, you start to overlay and
yes.
then grow from one subject to another on that same canvas.
Yes, yeah, I usually lay down one issue. Like, one issue is every time we use gasoline, we're using, money is going to the Saudi Arabians or other folks. So I think about an oil tanker going empty out somewhere, and it's empty now, but it's taking a piece of our liberty with it. So I'll make an oil tanker and I'll put the arm of liberty, the Statue of Liberty, in it, and that'll be one layer, one issue.
Okay.
You know, the way we're spending our money.
Oh, keep going on this. This is good.
And then I'll think about another issue or some development that's happening related to the topic, and I'll lay it on top of it. And then usually I go to a third layer. And once I have all the issues down in images, at some point to be the painter, I mean, it is not the thing to be the intellect at the end of the day. The thing to be is the painter. And at that point, I start distorting things and manipulating things so that when you and other people look at it, you see something that may be pleasing or disrupting. You know, at the end of the day, I must be the painter, not the intellect.
Okay, now, stop right there. So now that we've had these various layers down, is part of the idea to combine these layers so it's one big picture, or are these really separate subjects that roll from one to another?
One separate subject with issues that roll in and out of each other.
So that's where the overlay comes in.
Yes, and I think life is like that. We have all these different issues, and you know, we have to deal with them, and you just can't line them up.
It would be so nice if we could.
Yes.
But you're right, everyday life is like this. The number of things that each of us do in a day, from a home to a work to play to thinking to enjoyment, all can be packed in one day, yeah. But interrupted from one thing to the next.
Yes. And I would like